Hi there and welcome to this tutorial video. In this video we'll walk you through the steps involved in creating your own account on the RCI so that you can complete the RCI itself and view your own personalized RCI profiles. It's useful just to mention that for this video, as I move the mouse around the page, you'll see a yellow circle appear around it. This is designed to highlight the movements I make on the screen so you can follow along. Then, when I click anywhere on the page, you will see a small bluish circle appear just like this. So, each person who wishes to complete the RCI will get their own account, called a user account. So you will have your own account. To be at the stage of creating an account, you should have already attended a briefing session organised by an RCI facilitator. The briefing session should have provided you with information about the RCI, and after the briefing session, you should have been given at least 1 week to think about taking part. After this 1 week, you should have been contacted by a facilitator to see if you are interested in participating. The creation of your account is a two-part process. A facilitator will start the process, and then, depending on the level of support you would like, you will finish your own account setup by yourself. Though we don't mean completely by yourself. A facilitator will be available to you should you need technical or personal support at any stage throughout your use of the RCI. In terms of the support you may require, although the facilitator will ask you, it's useful to make sure you've told them about any support you feel you may need. For example, you might like some support to use the computers or to read some of the information on the RCI itself. Now, before going any further, it's worth mentioning a couple of things about your account. I'm going to open up an image now just to help with the explanation of these points. So this image shows you that for each user account that is created, so this applies to the account you'll create on the RCI, there will be a username, an account name, and a password. The first thing to mention is that to open your account, or what we call to log in to your account, there are two codes that are needed. One of the codes is the username, and the other code is the password. The account name here isn't used to log in, but there is a good reason it's created, and we'll talk about each of these now in a bit more detail. So as mentioned, the username is one of the two codes needed to open your account. The username is created by a facilitator during the first part of your account setup. As we'll explain shortly, the other code that is needed to open your account is the password, which you create and you keep. The username itself is kept by the facilitator and is stored securely within the RCI system. And that's why we have the no here to say that you won't know the username for your account. So to open your account, a facilitator will have one code and you will have the other code. No one can open your account without your code, which is the password. You keep your own password, so your account is kept secure. Because each of you have one of the two codes needed to open your account, this means that you and the facilitator have to be at the same place to open your account. This is done to make sure the RCI is opened and completed in a place where there are supports available to each person if needed. The account name is created by you when you set up your own account. Your account name will be known to you and the RCI facilitators within your service. This is shown here by the yes in both user and facilitator columns. Account names are not used to log into the RCI. They are essentially an anonymous identifier, or you could call them a fake name for you, and they're used instead of asking you to enter your real name. The reason you need an account name is so that when you want to complete the RCI, you can tell a facilitator what your account name is, and this then lets them find your username from the RCI system. After finding your username from the system, A facilitator can then enter your username into the login page, which we'll show you shortly, and you can then enter your own password to open your account. So the password, just like the account name, is created by you, but you will be the only person who knows your password, unless you decide to share this with someone. So as you can see here in the Does the Facilitator Know This column, this is shown by the No, because the facilitator won't know your password unless you share it with them. We'll remind you of this later in the video again, but it's useful to let you know now that you need to remember your account name and password to get into the RCI. So you need to be ready to note down your account name and your password in a secure place when creating your account. Okay, so to get going, I'll go back to the recoverycontextinventory.com website. I then go to the login page by going to the top right of the website and clicking on this login button. As you can see, we're brought to the login page, where on the left are the fields for a user's details to be entered to log in. We've got the user login heading here for guidance on this, and on the right are the fields for a facilitator's details to be entered. We've got the facilitator login heading here for guidance on that. Since we're setting up a user account, we'll be using the fields on the left of the screen here. So at this point, you will be sitting at a computer with a facilitator who has already created a username for your account. This facilitator will complete the first step of your account setup by typing in this username here and then clicking the Login Now button. I'll go ahead and type in a username that's been created for the purposes of this video. Now, you'll see a note here that says, if this is the first time using this username, please leave the password field blank, as the password will be created in the coming steps. Since this is the first time the username is being used, because we're in the process of setting up your account, the facilitator would enter the username and leave the password field blank. So as the note mentioned, I'll be leaving the password field blank and then clicking Login Now. The first page you're brought to is a consent form. It's very important that enough time is given to this part of your account setup. Each person who takes part must have given their fully informed consent to taking part before going any further than this page. On this consent form, there are 14 statements relating to different aspects of the RCI and the current study. Although you have to read each point, a facilitator will be with you as you go through the consent form so they can answer any questions you have. If you need support with reading parts of the RCI, you could use these Read Aloud buttons here. These buttons are designed to read out the different parts of the consent form, and they also appear throughout the RCI itself. Each Read Aloud button will appear with this symbol. Sometimes in the RCI, the words Read Aloud won't appear, but this symbol will always appear. So, for example, when I click on this Read Aloud option, you'll hear the statement read aloud.
I have had an opportunity to ask questions about the study.
Okay, so the consent process is designed to ensure that consent is not given without a full understanding of what it is you are consenting to. You must only agree to participate when you have a clear understanding of the purpose of the study and your associated rights. Even if you fully understand everything on this page, you can still say that you don't want to take part. This is your right, and if you decide not to take part, your decision will be fully respected. If you don't feel like taking part, you can scroll down the page and click on the No, I do not want to take part button here. This will present you with what we call debriefing information. This is just some information about the RCI and contact details if you need them. You'll also have the option to download the debriefing document if you want. For the purposes of this video, we'll say that we've read through and understood everything on the consent form and wish to take part. In this case, we need to click on the Yes, I agree to participate in the RCI button, which will take you to the next step. So the screen we're taken to next is where you would take over to finish your account setup. At this point, depending on the support you want, it may no longer be necessary for a facilitator to sit with you as you complete the rest of your account setup. However, a facilitator will still be available to you should you require any support as you go along. So, as mentioned earlier, you would create your own account name, which you do here. You'll create your own password here, and then you have the option to enter an email address here. So going back up to the top for the account name, you'll see there is some guidance text on this page. This reads, you choose your own account name, and it's very important you choose one that does not identify you, so do not use your real name. Instead, you could use a made-up name, e.g. Jack Frost. You create an account name so that when you want to complete the RCI, you can tell a facilitator what your account name is, so they can find one of the codes that are used to log into the RCI. You will create and keep the second code when you choose your own password in the next step below. Your account name is not used to log into the RCI. To use the RCI, you need to remember this account name, so note down your account name now and store it safely in a place of your choice. So, in short, the account name should not be your real name, and even though it's not one of the codes used to log in, you must note it down and store it in a safe place, because if it's forgotten, you won't be able to get into the RCI at a later time. I'll go ahead and type in an account name now. As you see here, I have to type it a second time into the confirm account name field to make sure I type it exactly as I want it. So I'll do that now. Now that that's done, we'll move down the page so we can create a password. There's some more guidance text here that reads, note down your password now and store it safely in a place of your choice. This is important because in order for you to be able to use the RCI in the future, you need to remember this password. When creating a password, do not create one that will include identifiable information such as your real name, your address, your mobile number, or your email address. I'll go ahead and enter a password. You'll notice that as I type, the password is hidden by dots. This is deliberately done so that if someone happens to be able to see the computer screen as a password is entered, they won't be able to tell what it is. Just like the other account details, the password has to be typed twice to make sure that it's entered exactly as intended. So I'll type the password a second time in the confirm password space here. Now that we've created an account name and a password, we'll move down to the email address. This is optional. You do not have to enter an email address if you don't want to. The guidance text for the email reads, this is optional. You do not have to enter an email address if you do not want to. If you enter an email address, do not use an email address that will identify you, i.e. do not use one that has your name in it. Entering an email address will help you to reset your account password if you forget it, and get your account name back if you forgot that also. You will be the only person able to see your email address. So I'll enter an email address created just for the purposes of this video. This email address is useroftheRCI@gmail.com. Again, I have to type it twice, which I'll do now. Finally, at the bottom here, we have a note that reads, tick this box after you have noted down both your account name and password. You cannot continue your account setup until you note down your account name and password and then tick this box. If you forget your account name or password and didn't enter an email address, you will not be able to continue using the RCI in the future. This is just a safety check, just in case someone flies through this process and creates an account without noting down their account name and password as they go. If we click the next button without ticking this box, we get a warning message like this. And this reads, before continuing, you must note down your account name and password and then tick the box to confirm you have done this. So we'll tick this box now and then click next. This will bring us through to the very last account setup page. The very last thing you'll have to do to create your account is to answer some very brief questions about yourself on this page titled Some Questions About You. There are 10 questions in total, and again, there are the read aloud options that will read out the questions and then the response options for each. You'll see that some questions have what we call drop-down response options. So when I click here for the what age are you question, you'll see a number of options appear or drop down. Just for the sake of this video, I'm going to answer all of these questions completely randomly. On this question, question number 6, it's worth pointing out that for each response option, the what is this text here will present more information about these educational options. So for example, if I click on the upper secondary what is this option, the additional information reads National Framework of Qualifications Level 4 or 5, Leaving Certificate including Applied or Vocational Programme or equivalent. Okay, so I'll continue to answer these questions randomly. For the last question, question 10, you can select more than one answer, like this. For all the other questions on this page, you would select only one answer. Once I've answered all of these questions, I'll come to the bottom of the page and click on the final setup button that reads Finish and go to your dashboard. And that's it. That's a user account all set up and ready to be used. You'll see here near the top of the page we have the account name, the one we just created, and the name of the service we've been set up within. This service was set up just for these tutorial videos. This page is called your main dashboard. For guidance on how to complete different tasks within your dashboard, you can view some of the other RCI tutorial videos. These videos will be inside the helpful resources area of your account here. We hope this video is helpful to you. If you have any questions or queries, please get in touch with one of your local RCI facilitators.